Too often we overlook the many resources that are available in our community, organizations, entities, religious institutions, or what have you, that really have the purpose of helping and assisting the community. Too often, people sit idly by with ideas or needs or projects or activities that need some assistance, and they erroneously think that there is no help. So I'm happy today to be able to bring to you one of the resources in the community, one of the entities that has the specific purpose of assisting the community with worthwhile ideas, initiatives, and projects. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Havisham, and thank you for joining us today by way of radio, internet, or television. And the entity that I'm talking about that design and organize and establish really to kind of assist with community efforts is the Community Foundation. And we have with us today its director, Miss Catherine Dennis. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Alex. I hope you are.
Yeah, I'm outstanding. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit, first of all, about yourself.
Okay. Well, I've lived in Macon almost 30 years. In July, I will have lived here for 30 years, so it's home. My husband Brown and I have raised our 3 children, and we are empty nesters for the first time this year. We've had a great year. Everybody always asks me. It was kind of bleak for 5 weeks, but after that, we've enjoyed it. But I've had the pleasure of working at the Community Foundation for 15 years.
That's outstanding. Well, let's talk, first of all, generally about how the Community Foundation was created and organized. Okay. Then we'll get into some of the projects.
Okay. Well, back in 1993, Juanita Jordan had taken the helm of the Peyton Anderson Foundation, and she started traveling to look for best practices around the country. And she kept hearing about these other towns that had community foundations, and she started researching, and she said, we need one of those. And so she went to the United Way and the Chamber and said, let's form a community foundation. And she in turn gathered 12 leaders to form the first board of the Community Foundation. And the idea and our mission is to enhance the quality of life for the people of Central Georgia. And more specifically, what we want to do is grow philanthropy. We want more people to see that it's within their reach to be philanthropic and engage their family in giving back.
So the Community Foundation is a resource that if in fact you have personally or organizationally some resources that you would like to put into the community, be primarily financial, of course.
Correct. Yes.
Then rather than searching everywhere, trying to find out, how to do it, is it your mission? They can give it to you.
Our mission is they can, and then we'll work with that individual or family or organization and help them accomplish their goals. And what's really interesting, if you think about it, the Peyton Anderson Foundation and the Woodruff Foundation each invested $250,000 in the Community Foundation to get it started, to get it up and running, the infrastructure and all of that. Today, we're over $110 million in assets. I'd say that's a pretty good return on investment there.
Yes, it is.
And we've awarded more than $75 million in grants and scholarships in the Central Georgia area. And so
that's so outstanding. And then I noticed you said grants and scholarships. But let's put a pin in things.
Okay.
Just for a minute.
Yes, sir.
And let's talk about Miss Juanita.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of going to an award ceremony Friday night, I believe it was. Thursday night.
Thursday night.
In the President's Ball dining room at Mercer University. Yes. It was an activity sponsored by 100 black men of Middle Georgia, designed specifically to honor both Juanita Jordan and Sam Hart.
Two great leaders.
And so the 100 black men gave Juanita Jordan the first annual Sam Hart Award for her role in, just fostering economic development and community participation throughout the community. And she is so deserving. And I think we both want to give a shout out.
Absolutely, yes. Our community is better off because of her leadership. She took the resources that Peyton Anderson left to our community, and was his close friend and co-worker for years and years. So she knew exactly how, and he told her how he wanted that money to be spent. And I think she was a wonderful steward of it. And the Community Foundation is one of the beneficiaries of that. I mean, that was one of her ideas, Newtown Macon and the Peyton Anderson Foundation Board. So Juanita's left a tremendous legacy in our community.
Well, she really, really has. So does it work? I mean, does it work? I mean, does it help? For there to be resources that
Absolutely.
individuals and organizations can tap to foster.
Yes, I'll give you a couple of examples.
Absolutely.
Last night, I actually had the privilege of attending the graduation for the first class of the Urban Leadership Academy, and that was a Community Foundation nonprofit grant that we made to the urban CEO, as Dominique Johnson. I don't know if you know Dominique, but Dominique has a vision to really grow grassroots leaders from the neighborhood, and this was an East Macon cohort of leaders, and so to be able to invest a relatively small sum of money and then impact, and now we have 13 new CEOs out there that are going to make a difference.
Right.
We have a donor at the Community Foundation who likes to be anonymous, and we found out at the Community Foundation that Macon Arts Alliance 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, really wanted to take over, do Mill Hill, which is the old mill, bib number one, and the city and the auditorium over there, and that they had a plan for $1 million they could rehab that community center and that auditorium, but they needed to stabilize and get the roof done. And so our donor said, I will do the first phase, the stabilization, $211,000.
Wow.
If you can get the commissioners to use their blight money to do the other $800,000. And while I was sitting there, it was so exciting. It was Christmas time, and Jan Beelan, the executive director of Macon Arts Alliance, started calling commissioners. And while I was there, she got $800,000 in commitments within an hour. On the spot. They said because that grant could be catalytic to say, if you're willing to put a little bit of your blight money in, then we'll get $200,000. So it was a wonderful public-private partnership, and I've seen more and more of that in our community.
So oftentimes when an individual has resources or money or what have you that they want to use to help the community, then they can just let the Community Foundation be the vehicle.
Yes, absolutely. We talk to our donors, and most of them are still living. We do have some that are deceased and have told us in their will what they're interested in. So
a person could put it in there.
Absolutely.
A person could put in his or her will that I want to leave $100,000, for the sake of providing scholarship for low-income neighborhood girls. I
had the privilege of meeting a man named June Kitchens, and he had worked his whole life and had been retired, and he lost his wife a couple of years before, and they had always, through their church, had supported ministries where people who were hungry, they could feed them. And so they left a piece of their estate when he passed away to the Community Foundation, and our job is to find those organizations that are doing a good job out there feeding the people in our community that need those extra resources. And you would never have thought of him as Peyton Anderson, the man that owned the paper. But it allowed him to do something that meant something and to leave a legacy.
Right. So let me try to be clear.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So if in fact there are some individuals, some groups, some organizations, and some entities out there who have worthwhile community beneficial projects,
yes,
then it would not be wrong or bad for them to at least approach the community
Oh,
foundation? I know
it would
there are
not
certain
be. No, not at all. We have the Community Foundation. There are lots of different ways. We want to know, first of all, who's doing good work out there, and we actually cover 21 counties. So Bibb is our largest.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
73% of our donors reside in Bibb County or have funds based in
Right.
Bibb County, but they're 77%, and 23% are outside of Bibb,
Right.
and we're growing. So, but again, we want to know what's going on. We have resources, and there are so many people out there that are doing the heavy lifting and taking care of people.
Like
and have good
Dominique,
ideas.
like Dominique.
Exactly.
You know, with
And
leadership.
with
I mean, it's such a worthwhile effort.
It is.
And a worthwhile idea.
And so we like to know about it. And sometimes we have donors that we know have a particular area of interest. We recently met a wonderful guy named George Brown who is doing some work with called Homeport. It's a home for homeless veterans
Wow.
out on Eisenhower. But we knew that one of our donors in particular had a real passion for that, and so we were able to connect them. And so I can't promise to always do it, but we work really hard. That's one of the services we provide.
And you
our
got him some
donors.
money.
Yes, we did. Our donor was very generous and made so they could finish up a whole wing and serve 15 veterans and get them in a home. And
Wow.
So just trying to understand who's out there doing good work is really important. Alex Leahy in my office, I think she's been on your show. Yeah. Alex,
namesake.
Yes, exactly. That's right. That's right. I bet her mama named her after you.
I like that.
Yeah. But Alex runs our competitive grant programs, and so twice a year the Community Foundation has a program where nonprofits in the region can apply and tell us what their needs are, and our board will look at those, and they're always more needs than we have resources. But we give away $600,000 a year through that program, so it's pretty significant. The largest grant is $25,000. Most of them are about $10,000 to $15,000.
Right.
But again, what we want are those nonprofits to tell us what they need, and we hope we can support that. Alex runs, as far as our competitive grant making programs, the Downtown Challenge. I know we want to talk about that in a little bit, where we've partnered with the Peyton Anderson Foundation and the Knight Foundation, and they were very generous funders of this program. And then we have several programs where some of our donors actually want applications, and they're all online. And we have two donors who are particularly fond of animals. And so, and that's the thing, the Community Foundation. You tell us what you're interested in, and we'll make it happen. And
that's what makes it unique, because any person with some resources, some money, or what have you.
And you don't have to be really wealthy.
Yeah, I know.
You just have to have a passion to help make a difference.
And so if they, in fact, want to direct a certain amount of money to a particular effort, then they can come to the Community Foundation and say, hey, here's $10,000 or $50,000 or $1 million that we want to entrust to the Community Foundation for this purpose.
Yes, exactly. Do you remember Ola Mae Ford?
Oh, I remember Miss Ford.
Well, Miss Ford came to a session we had at the Tubman. They really wanted to build an endowment, start an endowment fund for the Tubman, and we had Billy Pitts and I did a thing on planned giving, and Miss Ford had a small insurance policy, and she changed the beneficiary to the Community Foundation,
right.
And when she died, it's the start of the Ola Mae Ford endowment fund for the Tubman,
right.
And again, she saw that she had that. She said she could part with that. I mean, she wasn't going to be around. Her heirs could, and support something that she cared about.
Wow.
So anybody can make a difference if they're interested.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So for a minute, let's just walk through the general and the competitive element of it. Because there are several now. Let's walk through the requirements for the competitive.
Okay.
You got to be a
501c3.
You got to be a nonprofit.
Yes. And you have to be in our region and serving our region. We do have some groups that have come out of Atlanta that are serving here. It's they really better be serving here.
I know.
But we do fund, because sometimes they are providing services to our community. You have to be able to do it online, and you have to be able to follow instructions. You'd be amazed at how few people. It'll be right there, these steps, and they won't do it, and they won't do it. But I believe it's a pretty simple application, and we ask for feedback at the end. How would you improve this?
Right,
and have incorporated that in there.
Right. Well, that's very, very important, and there are quite a few people, there are quite a few organizations, nonprofit, that exist out there, to help and to assist the community. So if in fact there is one, or you have one, or you
Yeah.
know of one, then you go online
Yes.
to www.
cfcga.org.
cfcga.org. We'll stream it. We'll
Yes,
ask our
that's it. Yes, thank you.
videographer.
Yeah, those letters kind of run together. My
Yeah.
daddy said once, you got to be really slow when you talk about.
Yeah, that's important.
Just think
So-
Community Foundation Central Georgia.
Yeah,
cfcga.org.
cfcga.org.
And then there are links all along the top that tell you if you want grants, if you want scholarships, you can just click on that, and it should be user friendly. If not, you just call our telephone number and we'll help you.
Yeah, that's very good. Now, you just had the opportunity to award quite a few grants.
Yes.
And they say that the proof is in the pudding. So let's talk a little bit about the grants. that
Okay,
you
we
did.
just awarded last week or 2 weeks ago the Downtown Challenge grants, the third round. And the Downtown Challenge, as I mentioned a little while ago, the Peyton Anderson Foundation and the Knight Foundation funded the Macon Action Plan that the Urban Development Authority is running, and with the help of Newtown. And the Macon Action Plan is a true plan for the urban core, which is the central business district and the neighborhoods around it. And it's a very defined geographic boundary. We don't go over it. People call and ask, but it's a set boundary, and the Macon Action Plan has 4 areas that we want to affect and see change. They are the economic development, experience, living, and connectivity. So economic development is what it is. We want jobs downtown, and we want to employ people. We want people coming down here to work. Experience is a community to be strong has to have a thriving downtown. And a lot of people say, all the money's going to downtown. But if you don't, you can look at communities all across the country. If you have a strong downtown, it radiates outward.
Absolutely.
And there's economic benefit to that. And so having things that bring people and a diverse group of people downtown. Yes. I brought my family to one of the things we funded in the second round, the Wintervention Electric Dance Party. It was down under the Fifth Street Bridge, down at Plum, I think. It was under a bridge. It was so much fun. But kids, I mean, it was age-wise, racially, I mean, it was the most diverse crowd I'd seen in forever. And so having things, and different things appeal to different people. That's why we have lots of different experiences.
Now, was that part of the Downtown Challenge?
No, that was part of that was the Downtown Challenge grant that we did back in December, that we awarded in December.
And we'll talk about some of the other one, but in essence, if one has, everything begins with an idea.
Yes, it does.
And too often people have good ideas and they say, oh, nobody's going to do that. But if one has a good idea.
We kind of like it wacky and crazy and good.
So if one has a good idea as it relates to addressing one of those areas, economic development or experience or
Call
connectivity.
Us. We want to talk to you about it. Yes. I mean, and just quickly, living. We want lots of people living downtown. And again, a very diverse economically and everything.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah, always.
It really warms my heart, for there to be entities such as the Community Foundation that's here for the entire community. It's irrespective of, how poor you are, how rich you are, where you live, or your race, So, and I think that's important to our community. Yeah. And then a lot of people need to know that, because a lot of times people get bogged down, and think, well, they're not going to help me, or they're not going to come to East Macon.
I love to go to
They're not going to help me. I'm from the projects or something like that. When in fact, if in fact one would do the research, because
you got to do the work.
You got to do the work, but it's there.
But we are here, and my team is there to answer questions, and I'm very sincere when I say that we want to increase our knowledge and our reach to people that we don't know, and I think one of the things I've been exploring lately is I went to a conference and they said that sometimes new people trying to get started with an idea get left out because they are new, and that sometimes you have to be willing to give somebody a chance and a nudge, but they also have to be willing to take the advice back. And it's a partnership and trying to find ways to make it work. And sometimes we're going to say, well, have you talked to Alex? Alex is already doing that. And could you collaborate? Because sometimes you don't need to try and do the infrastructure of creating your own nonprofit, whereas you could go and somebody is already there and you could tag on and just go do the good work you want to do in partnership with somebody. And our new Downtown Challenge grant is a mural down at the train station, at Terminal Station. But if you look at the Terminal Station, the MTA, Michigan Transit Authority, is to the right if you're looking at the Terminal Station, and there's a place for people to sit while they're waiting for the bus. It's covered, but it's a big 30-foot wall. It's really long and blank. Well, we had Alex Leahy in my office had been talking to Marlon Baldwin, who was at the Industrial Authority, now is working with the county, and he said, I just want to do a mural, and I'm thinking about doing it down at the MTA, the terminal station, and she said, well, that's so interesting because Making Arts Alliance had just approached her and said, we want to do a mural, and we're thinking about that. So Alex was able to connect them, and now, so Marlon has partnered with the Making Arts Alliance, and they're going to do that mural together.
They haven't done it yet?
No, we just announced it last week or 2 weeks ago, and so, but it's coming, and that was a wonderful partnership with the Transportation Authority too. So what I've seen in the last 5 years, Alex, is how well citizens, the government, and nonprofits are working together, and everybody's pulling in the same direction.
That's a good thing.
It is a great
thing. And I think those kinds of efforts have played a role in the development of downtown.
Yes.
Talk a little bit. I know you're excited about.
Oh, I'm so excited. One of
Newtown Macon and all.
One of the first grants the community found, the Downtown Challenge awarded, was to Friends of Making Music to put painted pianos around downtown, and they are played all the time. And so we actually just awarded another grant to Friends of Making Music to put some more pianos downtown. So if you play the piano in your downtown, don't be shy. Sit down and play it.
That's it.
And it brings people together. It's amazing to me to see that somebody starts playing and they all sit there and start talking to each other and listening to the music.
That's outstanding.
But they've also doing pop-up concerts around the community.
I want to tell you this right quick. Pop-up concerts, that's good. But this Anthony Anderson, you may not know who he is, but he's an actor. He's been on TV and in a lot of movies, and they honored Andrew Young.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last week in Atlanta. But anyway, to show you how people can surprise you. Now, he's a host. He's a great actor and a comedian, stand-up comic. And then he walked in, and sat at the piano, and people talking about boo, boo. Man, that man can play the piano.
That's a gift you ought to share.
Anthony Anderson, he could really play. So that's important.
Yeah, but
so
people share their gifts.
Yeah.
Another one I want to encourage everybody to go to, if you're on, there's a website, themakenites.com. But if you're on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, if you find the Makenites, there are interviews with people who live downtown. If you're familiar with Humans of New York, and where they just do stories about the people on the street, and so we funded the second round of the Makenites. But we're getting attention from all over the world. People are following these stories now about the people you see.
That helps to bring industry here.
Yeah, it does. They see how well people are getting on. But I've learned about the people I see on the street that live at the Dempsey, people that work downtown that I see out a lot, and then but people, they're just your average Joe. Makenites. And if you go on Facebook, I think it's themakenites.com, and then on Facebook, if you put in the Makenites, it'll come up, and Instagram, it'll come up. But I love the stories. They're doing about 2 a week. Another one for economic development that we just funded, two of them. The Mentors Project came to us with a really neat idea that with their proteges for the summer, they needed summer employment, and so June O'Neill has partnered with downtown businesses, and they've agreed to hire the teenagers to come and work and be interns for the summer. And so this grant will provide a stipend to those students so that they can earn a little spending money during the summer, but also learn important work skills.
Right.
And then Innovation Center received a grant for Women's Entrepreneur Academy, so to really focus on letting women bring their ideas to life.
Right.
You know, a lot of times that women are, you know, so concerned about their children and their families and putting food on them, they're not willing to take the risk. And
Right.
so giving them kind of the courage to step out and do that. And so Stephanie Howard at the Mercer Innovation Center had that
Right.
idea to do
Right.
that.
Right.
And she said in her marketing classes at Mercer, they're more than half women, but most entrepreneurs aren't women.
Right.
And so,
Right.
so I'm excited about that one. A lot around connectivity and making our community a safer place to walk and bike. And one of it, what the Make an Action Plan wants to see happen is that downtown is that we can reach the river. That somehow it doesn't feel like it's far away. That it's just that the river, that the Ocmulgee River Walk is connected to downtown, and you just keep going. So we're working on grants to.
I understand
to
that
make
it's an extensive walk
it-
along. You know that
it is.
has been improved as it relates to. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the river for just
Okay,
a
sure.
minute.
Absolutely,
You know,
yes.
because that's an asset that I think is overlooked in our community. So I mean, families gonna tell us a little bit about
well,
what's happening.
if you haven't mentioned Amerson
The
River
oldest
Park,
rain
the
park,
Amerson River Park is packed every day, every weekend. It is absolutely packed by, again, a really diverse group of people. And what Chris Sheridan told me once about the trail, what he loves about it, he said, when you're walking, you have to look at somebody. That you don't have to, but most people do, and that they don't
Now,
just
where
walk
is
by
that
each
located?
other.
Where is
All
it?
right. Well, the river walk we have it starts in Central City Park, and you can walk across. It's a little dicey right this minute getting across to MLK, and then you can go across the Otis Redding Bridge, and you go down on. So what side of the? My dad would be very upset with me. On the east side of the river, it'll take you past Spring Street. And what we are working on now, we made a grant last cycle to do a connectivity so that you don't have to go up to Spring Street and then go back across, because there's going to be a path that goes through Rose Hill and then
Right.
Riverside Cemetery, and then eventually it'll connect all the way to Amerson, and you'll be able
So
to
now
go.
you can go from downtown to Amerson River Park.
Not yet, but
Okay.
soon. But
Okay.
soon, yes.
Okay.
But that's the dream. And actually, you'll be able to go from the Ocmulgee Indian Mounds, the
Wow.
Ocmulgee
Wow.
National Monument.
Right.
Soon, we hope to be
Right.
park and preserve.
Right.
So there's 5 miles of trail in there, and then 13 miles right now, and then you'll connect to the river park.
So if people say there's nothing to do there,
Well, they
really,
are not paying attention, and they are lazy because there is something to do every
there are
night.
Really,
Yes,
a whole
it's
lot
so
of
much
things to
fun.
do. Well, I know that people are so interested in finding out more information about what you're doing, the challenge grants, and applying for the competitive grants and what the process is. So give us your contact information.
Okay. All right. The Community Foundation our website is www.cfcga.org, and our telephone number is 478-750-9338.
This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Havisham, having interviewed Ms. Catherine Dennis, who is the Executive Director of the Community Foundation. Keep doing the good work.
Thank you.
And keep being reminded that there are all kinds of resources out here to help you with good ideas and with existing projects that you now have going on. Check out the Community Foundation. You
Please
might
do.
get some help right there. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Have a
very
great
much.
day.
You too.
www.makingblackpages.com